What is a get method? What is a set method? If you want to refer any variable defined in the Apex class within the Visual Force page, if you want to refer to any variable defined in the Apex class within the Visual Force page, then that variable should have getter and setter methods. Now first let us understand how to define a get method and set method. How to define a get method and set method. So how you define the getter method and setter method? One quick minute, let me save this file. Okay. I am defining a variable called string. If I define a variable called string name, if you have to define a setter method for this, you have to define the method like this. Public void set. What is the variable name? Set name. Set. Here we are going to use this dot name equal to. For the same variable, if you want to define a getter method, it has to be public. What type of data type is this? String. Get name. Right. Are you getting the point here? So if I want to create a setter and getter method for a variable called decimal salary. Tell me how you give it. Public void set salary decimal salary. This dot salary equal to salary. If you want to define a get method, public decimal get. Return. Instead of giving a salary, I can also give any decimal value. So if somebody calls salary, it is going to return you what? Get salary from the VF page. From the VF page, if you want to refer to any one of the variable, we need to have getter method and setter method for the variable. Get method and set method. What is the purpose of set? What is the purpose of set? Set method will take the value, store it to a variable. Get method is what? Get method is what? Get method is take the value from the variable, display it on the VF page. Get method, take the value from the variable, display it on the VF page. When it is set, whatever the value we enter in the VF page, take that value, save it to the variable. Set will save the value to a variable, get will retrieve the value from a variable. Right. So let us go to this one. So if you want to use this, go to the Apex class. File, Apex class, set get example. So how are you defining? Public class. I am defining it public void string. Let's say get name. What type of value it has to give? String value. Similarly, I am giving it public decimal. Did I define any variables? I have not defined any variables. Only methods are given. So class which has two methods. What are the methods? Get name, get salary. Now, how to use this class in the VF page? How to use this class in the VF page? If you want to use any Apex class in the VF page, the class has to be defined as controller. Whichever the Apex class you want to use in the VF page, the Apex class has to be given as controller. Set get example. Set get example. What is it? What is the variable we want to use? When I say name, it is going to call. When I say name, it is going to call get name. Get name method from Apex class. If I call a name, what method is calling? Get name. If I say salary, what name it is going to call? Whenever I say name, internally it is calling what? Get name. If I say salary, what it is calling? Get salary. I will preview. What are we getting here? Satish Mala 10,000. So getter method. Whenever I call a variable, getter method of that variable is called. Whenever I call a variable, getter method of that variable is called. Whenever I call a variable in the VF page, getter method is called. So what is the purpose of get method? What is the purpose of getter method? What is the purpose of get method? Getter method. This is used to retrieve the data with the value stored in the variable and display the VF. Get the value stored in the variable into VF page. When is a setter method? What is the purpose of setter method? Read the value from. You should read the value from VF page and store the data. Store the data to a variable. Read the value from VF page and store the data to the variable. So what we have? Getter method and setter method. We are giving a getter method and setter method. Getter method, setter method. Getter method is to read the data from the Apex class variable and display them in the VF page. Setter method is read the data from VF page, store the value to the Apex class variable. That is how we have defined getter method and setter method. Am I clear with that format? Okay. Now, every time I cannot define the variables like this. Every time I cannot define the variables like this. So what I am doing here? Instead of defining the variables like this, what I am doing? I am straight away defining public string set semicolon getter. That means system will automatically define getter method and setter method. Decimal. When you use set and getter, system is going to define this. Who is going to define the set method and get method? System is going to define get method and set method. Am I clear with this? Right. Now whenever we call name, get name, who has defined the get method? Salesforce. What is that salary? Whenever we call salary, it is going to call get salary. Who has defined? Salesforce. If I define set semicolon, get semicolon, then what happened? Automatically system will define setter method and getter method. Automatically system will define setter method and getter method. Am I clear with this? When I use set semicolon, get semicolon, system will automatically define setter method and getter method. Any further queries? Okay. Now, when I am creating a class, we need to understand about constructor of the class. We need to understand about the constructor of the class. Now we define a class. Any data in the class you want to use in the VF page, you define them as a set and get. Now we are going for a constructor. What is this constructor and why we use it? Let us see this. Look at the form. Constructor. Constructor is a method. Listen to the format. Constructor is a special method. Defined with the same name of the class. Constructor is a special method defined with the same name of the class. What is the purpose of the constructor? Constructor is used used to initialize the data members, initialize the data members of the class. Constructor will not have return type. Constructor will not have return type. Constructor will be called only once. Will be invoked only once. That is at the time of creating an object. That is at the time of creating an object. Constructor is a special method defined with the same name of the class. Constructor is used to initialize the data members of the class. Constructor will not have any return type. Constructor is invoked only once, that is at the time of creating a object. So how do you define a constructor? Look at this. Class name, class. Here we are defining global or public. Global or public, class name, same. With the same name we are going to define a method. Method with the same name of the class. Any method defined with the same name of the class is called constructor. Method is defined with the same name of the class is called constructor. Method defined with the same name of the class is called constructor. Now look at the format. If I define any class, public class example, how you define the constructor now? Public example. Public class. Public class that will have same name of the method that will have the same name of the class is called constructor. Method that has the same name of the class is called constructor. Am I clear with this? Right. Now define. Now we have seen how to create a class. We have seen how to create a variables. We have seen how to create a constructor. Let us take the combination of these. Create an effects class, employee with data members, with the data members name, salary, experience. Create a constructor and assign the values. Values for this data members. Create a constructor and assign the values for the data members. So what we need was, I want a class, public class, employee. Here I am giving public string name. What I am giving set get. If you want to display this value in the VF page, set and get. Public decimal salary. Then we have public decimal experience. Then I'm giving a constructor public now. Let's see. If you don't assign any value, by default you will take null. Irrespective of the data type, if you don't assign the values, by default it is going to take as null. If you don't assign any values, to the variable, by default it will take as what? Null. If you don't assign any value, by default it will take it as what? Null. If you don't assign any value, by default it will take it as null. If you don't assign any value, by default it will take it as null. This is how we treat it. Come again? But it should have the same name of the class. So now let me define the same example. Now let us create one more example here now. Create a class product info. Create a class, create a fetch class product info with the data members. The data members, product name, product code, price, quantity. Create a constructor and assign the value. Create a constructor and assign the value. Create an apex class, product info with the data members, product name, product code, price, quantity. Then create a constructor. So, how was that defined? Public class, product info, public class, product info. Here we have public string, product name, set, public string, product code, set, get, public decimal, price. Public integer, quantity. Then this is how we create a class. Now we are going for a constructor. Product info. We have a product info. In the product info, what I'm doing? Product name. What can we name? Anything of your choice. Anything of your choice. Product code. You give anything of your choice. Price. Quantity. This is how we define a class with a data members with a constructor. Class with a data members with a constructor. Am I clear with this format? Class with a constructor with a data members. Right now we are taking a constructor without parameters. In due course of time I will take with parameters. Now let us come back to our VF page. Same program I am giving here. Employee, public, string, name, set, get. Public, string, public, decimal, we are giving name, city, sorry. I am defining a constructor, public, I am giving here name. If you don't assign the value, what is the value? Null. Is it for only string or any type of data type? Irrespective of any data type, if you don't assign the value, it's going to be null. Right. Now look at this constructor. Now I am going to define a VF page. Employee. How do you refer the apex class in the VF page? Now, how many controllers we can define? Only one apex class can be used as a controller. We can only define one apex class in the VF page. Control equal to employee. Now, what do you want to display? Now, how do you display the values in the VF page? It is expression. How do you display? Expression. So it is forward bracket, on, then followed by your variable. What is the variable name? Then we have. So tell me how you define. This is called a formula expression. What is this called? Formula expression. Then we have, what is the next one we have? So when I say control equal to employee, I will click it. Now did I call the constructor? So when the page is loaded, what is happening? Constructor is executed first, then followed by loading the data. Constructor is automatically called whenever the page is loaded. The controller, whatever the Apex class we have defined as a controller, whichever the Apex class we have defined as a controller, that Apex class will be automatically loaded. That Apex class will be automatically loaded when the page is called. When you call a page, control is called. When you call the controller, constructor will execute first. So automatically what is happening? Whenever a page is loaded, constructor is automatically going to execute. Where did I assign all the values? Where did I assign all the values? All the values are assigned in what? Constructor. So automatically, whenever we are calling a controller in the VF page, corresponding constructor is going to be executed. Corresponding constructor is going to be executed. Are you clear about this? So when is the constructor executed? Whenever the page is loaded, automatically first what happened? Constructor will run. After running the constructor only, the rest of the operations will be performed. Are you clear about this? Now, in the class, I am defining a method here. Look at this, how do you define? Public void public. What was this? It's a method. It's a method. So what I am doing here? Name equal to right. Now, when is that method called? Is the method is called automatically? No. Constructor is automatically called whenever the page is loaded. Constructor is automatically called whenever the page is loaded. But when the method will be called, you have to call it. Method will not be called automatically. You have to call it. So look at the format. I am reading here. Apex. How do you call the method? Form. Apex. Command button. Val equal to call. Action equal to call. What happened was command button. What is the purpose of command button? When you click on the button, method will be called. So method has to be called manually, whereas the constructor is called automatically. How many times method can be called? I can call n number of times. But a constructor is called how many times? Only once. Constructor will be called only once. That is at the time of creating an object. Method can be called n number of times by the user manually. Now go back to this. I will preview. So I have a method. What is the name of the method? Command button. Value action. When you click on the button, what is the action that should be performed? We got here. Let me give some BR. With your BR, what happens? Go to the action. When you click on this, what is the value? Kiran Chandra. Are you getting my point here? So when you click on the button, what is happening? Entire page is refreshing, right? Entire page is reloading. Boss, don't load entire page again. Only refresh. Re-render. Render means refresh the element whose ID is 1. Refresh only the element whose ID is 1. Refresh the element whose ID is 1. When I click on this, Now what happened? Is the page is reloading? No, only the form is reloading. Only the form is reloading. Are you getting my point? So what is the difference between a method and a constructor? What is the difference between a method and a constructor? Constructor will be automatically invoked when we create object for a class. If you want to use any Apex class in the VF page as controller. If you want to use any Apex class in the VF page as a controller, then constructor should not have any parameters. Constructor should not have any parameters. If you want to use any Apex class in the VF page as a controller, then constructor should not have any parameters. Constructor should not have any parameters. If you want to use any Apex class as a controller, then that Apex class should not have constructor with the parameters. If a constructor has a parameters, then we cannot use that Apex class as controller. If a constructor has a parameters, then we cannot use it. Look at the point. I'm giving it, call me employee. So what happened? Go back to the page, review, is unknown constructor. Why? It is expecting constructor without parameters. But I gave constructor with the parameters, so it has given error message. Are you clear? If you want to use any Apex class in the VF page, then constructor should not have any parameters. Constructor should not have any parameters. Constructor should not have any parameters. Am I clear? So what is a class? Class is a collection of data members and methods. In those methods, some of the methods are also called constructors. When you call a constructor, when you call a method as a constructor, method name should be same as class name. No return type. Look at this. Let you any void or integer like that. Constructor will not have any return type. Now tell me the difference between method and a constructor. Constructor will have the same name of the class. Method can have any one of its own name. Okay, constructor will not have any return type. Method can have return type. Constructor will be called only once. Method can be called a number of times. An example of this. What I'm doing, somebody has asked me a question. What I'm doing? I'm calling the same method, right? Number of times I'm clicking. Is there any error? No, right? Why? Because we can call the method n number of times. We can call the method n number of times. Am I clear with this? Any query from your end? So class has a data members and methods. Class has a data members and methods. Okay. How do you call the method in the VF page? Depends upon the context. It's not only button. We can go with a link. We can go with an action. We can call from a script. Different contexts are there. As of now, you only learned about what? Command button. So we are using a command button. But there are so many other ways of invoking it. There are so many other ways of invoking a method from the Apex class. Method of the Apex class from a VF page. Are you clear about this? Right. Now we have created a VF page with an Apex class. I hope you are clear. Right. Now let us do an example. How we are defining the values? Student. So I ask you to create public string name. Now set semicolon get public string set semicolon get public string. What are the other fields I asked you to create? Name, branch, city. Then constructor. How do you define a constructor? Student. name equal to string has to be always in the single quotes. Branch equal to XR negative city equal to. This is how I created the class. I want to display this within the VF page. How do you define the VF page within a? Okay, we have to use the controller. The VF page controller equal to. Can I define more than one constructor, one class? No. Can a constructor have a parameters if you want to use in the VF page? No. I want to use it. How do you display the values? It is in the form of expression, formula expression. BR is for what? Are you clear about this format? Everyone has followed this? Okay. Now, we have just seen basic structure of creating a class with the data members and constructor. Now we want to know how to access the data from the VF page. Right now, whatever the data I gave in the Apex class that you are trying to use in the VF page. What if you want to read the data that is entered in the Apex class? What if you want to read the data that is entered in the VF page and save the data to the Apex class? So I have a business requirement like this. Look at this example, everyone. Everyone look at this example. I have a page like this. Calculator. Now I'm taking here page block section. Now I want to enter the page. Now you take it, a value. Then we got here two methods here. Add. First, let us create this VF page. This is the VF page. I want to create this VF page. Okay, no calculation. Just I want to create the UI like this. When you want to create the UI, what is the first thing that we have? Section. Let us create section item. First, we are going with section header. Apex section header. Title equal to. What is the title? So we have, let us say, example I'll give. Subtitle I'll give it as. I give vice versa. Okay. Then I'm going with a form, page block, title. Page block section. Here we have Apex, page block, section, item. Why I'm taking item? Why I'm taking page block section item? Because we have entire a value and box. So we require output length. Value equal to enter. Now I give enter a value. Similarly, I want to take B value. I want to take C. Enter a value. Enter B value. Okay. Now we got here. So we got here page block section item 1, section item 2, section item 3. You want 2 columns or 1 column? As per our example, how many columns? Column 1, column 2, column 3. If you want only one column, what should I do? Number of columns equal to 1. On the top of it, what I require? I require buttons. How do you define a buttons? Page block, buttons, location. What are the buttons I want? Next, command button. Value equal to. This is how I treat. So let us see the UI and check whether we have got in a proper way. This is what the UI we are looking at. Right, boss? So we got page block. In the page block we have page block section. Another section, what is that? Page block section item. Why did I take section item? I want to define my own label. I want to define one box. One label, one box. If you want to take 2 components within a single column, then I have to go for page block section. How many page block section item? 1, 2, 3. Now what is my intention? Once I enter the value, then click on add. Sum should be displayed in the result. Now whatever the value that I entered here, where is that value saved? Right. Now I am creating it. What I am doing? Public integer, public integer, then I have public void, when you say add. How many variables we require? 3 variables. Public integer, C value equal to we have public void, when it's a reset, A value equal to null, B value equal to null, C value equal to null. Now, I want to use this class in the VF page. How to use it? Right. Whatever the value that you enter in this input text box, save that value to a variable called A value. When I say value equal to A value, the value what is entered in this box, that is saved to which one? Variable called A value. The value what I entered here, the value is stored to B value. So what I am doing? Setting the value. The value entered in this VF page, I am saving this value to a variable of fx class. The value entered in the first box, I saved to a variable called A value. The value what I entered in the second box, I saved to a variable called B value. Similarly, C value. Initially, what are the values of this? Initially, what are the values? When is a B value? Get off B value 0 or null. Get off C value null. Get off A value null. Initially, it's null. When I click on add, action equal to now look at this context. So what I'm doing? Input text value equal to variable. So whatever the value we entered in this box, that is saved to the variable of the fx class. I have a preview. People have followed this example. Then I'm giving here 60, 20. Now what is happening? Entire page is refreshing. Do you want entire page to be refreshed? Only this page block. So what I do? ID equal to I'm giving re-render. Re-render. What is the meaning of re-render? Refresh the element whose ID is. Go back to this. Are you clear about this format? People have followed this format. So what I'm doing, the values what I'm entering in the VF page, if you want to save this value to the variables of the FX class, we need to go for what? Getter and setter method. Set method, it takes the value from the VF page, set the value to the variable of FX class. It is set method. Get method, the data which is stored in the variable that is fetching and displaying in the VF page. It is a get method. I hope you are clear. So how do you pass the values of this VF page to the variable? By using what? Set method. Now input text value equal to a value. That means whatever the value I am going to enter in this box, that is saved to that variable called a value. When you say enter b value, input text value equal to b value, whatever the value we are entering in the input text, that is saved to b location. I hope you are clear with this example. Am I clear with this example? Any further queries about that? Any further queries about this? Any further queries? Anyone has any other query? Okay. See, right. Let us go to the next one. We are trying to understand the next one. Let us go to the next one. Look at the format. I hope you are clear with this example. See, here you are taking a constructor. Now I have taken a blank values. If you don't want the blank values, you want value of A to be initialized. I am entering A value, B value. You want values to be initialized. What do you do? What do we do? I don't want to take a blank values. By default, 10 should be assigned. If I give A value equal to 10, B value equal to 10. So what we are going to get? We initialize the value. As we initialize the value, what we are getting? Initial values are 10 and 10. If you don't enter any value, by default it will take 10, 10. No, I don't want 10, 10. You enter it. That's what is called initialization. By default, if you don't enter, it's a null. I don't want to take them as a null. I want to take 10 and 10 as a default values. So what I'm doing? In the constructor, I'm assigning A value equal to 10, B value equal to 10. If you don't modify any value, it will take a sum of 10 plus 10. No, I don't want to take this. I want to take my own values. Go with this. Are you clear about this? Right? What did I do in this case? Initialize the values of A, B. What do you mean by initialization? If you don't assign any value, it will take null. I don't want to take a null. I want to give some default value. It may be 0. It may not be. It is not 10, 10. I'll take 0, 0. Previously we got a blank. So when I give 0, 0, you will not get a blank. You will get a 0, 0. Right? It's an initialization. I hope you are clear. So create a class. Create a class. Create a variables. Should I give second get? Should I enter the second get? Why? Because the data should be entered from the we have here. What is the format we got? It is necessary that every class should have a constructor? Not necessary. If you don't define a constructor, system will automatically create a constructor. Is it necessary that every constructor should have Every class should have a constructor. Is it necessary that every class should have a constructor? No, it is not necessary. If you don't define a constructor, system will do it. Void. When you call clear, what should happen? Interest equal to null, amount equal to null. This is how I created. So created a class with 4 variables and 2 methods. How do you display the data? Now I told user has to enter the data from the UI. So you have to go for creation of UI. How do you create a UI? I hope the class is clear for everyone. Let me create a VF page. So I have a controller. Effects form. So I have to go for effects page block. Title. Calculation. Once interest is calculated, then I will go for page block buttons. Command button. Value equal to action equal to command button. Value equal to what is the other one? Action equal to what is the action method which you want to call? What is that method called? When you click on the button, the method is called. Now I am going with the page block section. Should I go for page block section item? Should I go for page block section item? Why? Because it is a custom label and we are not referring to the table. If we are referring to the table, label will come. We are not referring to the field of a table. We are trying to create our own UI. So obviously we require output label and input text. Page block section item. What we have? Fx output label value equal to what is that value equal to amount. When you say value equal to amount, what does it mean? Whatever the value we entered in this box, that is equal to. Similarly, we have rate of interest, yes, amount, rate. Now, interest. I don't want to take input text, I want to take output text. I want to take output text. Output text is what? Just display. Input text means I can modify, output text means I cannot modify. Go back to this, have a preview. Now, is a section. Because I told output text is not displayed here. And I'm giving here. Shall I show this? Okay, clear it's done. I don't want to display this. Render it. While is. What is the meaning of rendered? What is the meaning of rendered? Rendered means should I display or not? Don't display this. When it is not, when it is null. Display this only when it is not equal to null. Display this only when it is not equal to null. Display this only if it is not equal to null. When interest value is not equal to null, then only display. That's the reason we are not able to see that box. Now I am giving here amount. Calculate. What here? Are you getting my point? Rendered. Should I show or not? Programmatically I can control when to display, when to hide. I told clear. Are you clear about this? Are you clear? Now entire page is refreshing. If you don't want entire page to refresh, re-render. Re-render is for what? Refresh. Render is for what? Display or not to display. Display or not to display. I hope people have got this point. People have got this point here. I hope you are clear with this format. I told boss, don't display this until the value is not equal to null. When the interest is not equal to null, then only display the value. Only got the value. When I told clear, value equal to null, so interest is removed. Are you clear about this example? So whatever the value we entered here, that is saved to the variable of an fx class. Whatever the value that is entered here, that is saved to the variable of a fx class. Then when you click on the calculate method is called. So what is the purpose of a method? When you click on a button, some action should be done. What is my action? Calculate the value of interest. Button method is nothing but some action. What action you want to perform? When you click on this button, calculate interest. When I click on this button, reset all the values. When I click on this button, what do you want to do? Method is nothing but what is the action you want to perform? When you click on this button, what is the change you are expecting? When you click on this button, what is the change you are expecting? Are you clear about this concept? People have followed this? Any further queries from your end? Any further queries from your end?